Hey, I wanted to do a vlog for the next installment of the Stuffed with Emptiness series. The last post I did on the series shared how the binging had become such a true addiction for me, and now I wanted to talk about when I finally decided to start making the change and start overcoming my binge eating troubles. So let's jump back to August of 2007. I had been training for a fitness competition and had to pull out 2 weeks before the show because the diet plan I was on had messed up my blood sugar so much that I was passing out and just really not in a healthy place. And after pulling out of the show, finally didn't have restrictions and things again, and immediately turned back to binge eating hardcore, like pretty much every day of the week. In the 2 months between August and October, I gained close to 30 pounds and just had hit a new low. And there was one day that I had planned to throw a donut party for one of my classes that raised a certain amount for fundraising. And so I remember that Thursday night going to pick up the donuts and Peter asking me, "Are you sure you need this many for just one class?" and telling him yes. And that was because I had planned to keep at least one of the boxes for myself, which did happen. After the party, I ended up with closer to 24 donuts left over and went home and ate them all, and then immediately tried to get rid of the evidence so by the time Peter got home he wouldn't see it. And after that happened, I realized what a low I had hit, and I felt just awful because I had gained so much weight. I was tired and just had no energy and felt sick and just really down on myself. And also just I couldn't believe that I was lying to my husband about food and that I had allowed it to take so much control of my life again. Then that Sunday in church, the message was about God's grace for us. And something about those two instances coupled together just sparked something in me. I realized that with every binge, I was basically smacking God in the face, saying, "I don't appreciate what you've done for me, and I don't care. I don't love myself. You say you love me, but I don't believe you, and I'm not going to love myself, and I'm going to treat myself with this disrespect by eating my emotions and turning to them for comfort." And the message of His grace and that He still loved me despite all that just really hit me hard, and I found myself in one of the stalls of the restroom just crying my eyes out, saying, "God, please help me love me like you love me. Just please help me love me like you love me, and then maybe I can get over this." And that was one of the turning points, if not the turning point, and when I finally decided I had to change my ways. And so from then on, that little saying became my daily prayer and mantra. Every morning I started with, "God, please help me love myself like you love me. Please help me love myself like you love me." And I would say that's one of the biggest first things that I did to help overcome binge eating. And I'm not going to get preachy, and so if prayer isn't your thing, then just find some way to focus on self-affirmation and self-love. Find a way to either journal or write out what you're thankful for. Look at yourself in the mirror and say something that you appreciate about yourself and ways that you're worthy. We all have worth, and just find some way to focus on the good in you. And I promise there's good in you, and just learn to love yourself more. Find a self-help book even. I love devotionals and studies that focus on learning to love and appreciate yourself more, and I still read them today because I know how important it is in helping me not turn to food for comfort. So that was the first step in learning to love myself more. The second thing that I did to help overcome binge eating was get rid of all the food rules. Once I got rid of the rules. I will admit, for the first few weeks I binged more because it was suddenly, oh hey, I can do this. It's not, you know, bad anymore. And with time I realized I didn't even like a lot of the foods I binged on. I realized how much better I felt when I ate, you know, healthy, natural foods, and just gradually began to incline more to those things instead of binging, because it didn't have the same allure. It wasn't the natural high of sneaking my drug of choice of sugar and cakes and whatever I could get my hands on from the bakery section at the grocery store. So just find a way to get rid of the rules, lose the all or nothing approach, and really look at what makes you feel good and go for those things. The third thing I did was I told Peter, and that was really, really hard, but I firmly believe that finding somebody for support is a big help in taking those steps to overcoming, because if I had a slip up, I would tell him, and knowing that he wouldn't judge me. But even though he didn't fully understand the problems with it, he supported me, and knowing that he supported me and knowing that I had somebody to be accountable to helped me stay strong and helped me push through the difficult initial steps of not binging. That's why it's important to me to put myself out there and share my story, because I want to be support for others. And I get plenty of emails asking for, you know, advice or just to be an ear to listen, and I don't mind it at all. It takes up time and it's busy, but I know how much support meant to me, and it means a lot to me that I can help give that back in some small way. So I encourage you to find somebody to turn to when you're trying to overcome these struggles, and I'm always here for you if you need a little bit of extra encouragement as well. But somebody that you know well and that knows you well, just turn to somebody. I promise you there's bound to be somebody there if you look hard enough. And if you can't find somebody you know, search out some sort of, you know, counselor, or if you're involved in a church, a lot of times if you seek one of the lay leaders there, they can help you out too. So just find some sort of support system. And then finally, the last thing that I really emphasize for getting started with overcoming the binge eating process is forgiveness. Forgive yourself. If you slip up, and you will, it will be a struggle for a long time. It's still a struggle for me to not want to turn to food for emotional comfort at times. But just if you slip up, say, okay, you know, the next meal, next day, next decision, I can choose differently. It's the overall decisions that add up to your life. So one slip up does not make you a failure. Forgive yourself and move on, and just keep pressing forward, and know that it can change. You can change. I assure you of that. And just believe in yourself and don't beat yourself up. So those are the 4 big things that I started with in overcoming my binge eating struggles. Learning to love myself, getting rid of the food rules, finding support, and forgiving myself. So I plan on sharing more with the overcoming process, and then where I am now in a future post about my whole journey and finally wrapping up the Stuffed with Emptiness series. So thank you for listening so far, and if you are dealing with this in any way at all now, just know that it's not worth it, and life is so much better freed from it, and you can be freed from it. Don't let it hold you down. Love you all, and thank you, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.